Hello my friends, welcome back to my floor for another Film Noir unboxing video. And this week I've got quite a few items. In fact, so many that I might actually have to split this video into two, but I'll try and get through things quite quickly so I don't have to do that. Most of these I think are books rather than Blu-rays, unlike last week, but I can't also guarantee they're all Film Noir related. There may be the odd thing in here that isn't, because I've ordered so much stuff recently that I can't really remember. Let's have a look at the pile, because, here it is. Whoa. There you go. So there's 11 packages here, so let's get to it. So okay, here's the first item. This would appear to be a very small book in a very large package. Everything from Discover Books comes in one of these packages, whatever size it might be. So let's hopefully, is that enough to get into it? Yes it is. It looks like a paperback. There we go. And what's this? Oh, it's the biography of film actor Alan Ladd. A Hollywood Tragedy is what it's subtitled. Beverly Linnett is the author. And yes, this is the most highly recommended book I could find about Ladd. He's an actor who appeared in several noirs, obviously most famously with Veronica Lake in This Gun for Hire, The Blue Dahlia, and The Glass Key. All of which I'm going to do in my Noir Confidential thread. And we've got some photos in the middle here. Not many. This is not a new book, as you can tell. It's been used, but it's a matter of finance with me. You know, you have to. If you can find, I can find a cheap copy. That's what I'll get, quite frankly. The tragedy of a man who got what he wanted, which is an interesting phrase. I'm a bit torn with Alan Ladd as an actor. I think he's been in some very good movies and did some very good performances in them. Sometimes I think he comes across as extraordinarily wooden. I think it probably just depends on the character and the project, I think, and possibly the director as well. But here we go. That's my first purchase. There. Alan Ladd, A Hollywood Tragedy. My God, I can't get my words out. That's the first one off the pile this week. As I say, most of these are going to be books. Let's go to one that doesn't feel like a book next. I don't think this is a book by any means. Let's get it open there. And what have we got? Oh, it's a Blu-ray, which is quite predictable. Oh, and it's nothing to do with film noir. I did say there might be a couple of things in here that aren't. This is Russian science fiction classic Stalker, directed by Andrei Tarkovsky, of course made Solaris as well. This is a movie I've been meaning to get on Blu-ray for a long time, and I think this wonderful Criterion collection was marked down quite heavily on Amazon a week or so ago. They basically, not quite half price, but not far off, so it was worth getting while that offer was on, because it was only a limited time offer. I really rate the movie. I saw it the first time at the cinema, and didn't really know what to make of it, because if you're unfamiliar with what the movie is about, it's about three guys who go into a mysterious area in the Russian countryside called the Zone, which is a place that's been visited by aliens. They're long gone, but they've left things behind, things that no one can really explain, bits of technology which are worth a bit of money, and so the site is off limits. But there are certain guides known as stalkers, who take people there on scavenging expeditions, basically. Cruel people would say it's just three Russian guys mucking about on a bomb site for 3 hours and just talking philosophy. And yeah, it is kind of, but it's just an incredibly hypnotic movie, and I've seen it many times over the years, and I just never managed to get hold of an actual copy for myself, so I'm really chuffed to get this. And there's some interesting extras there as well. It's a Criterion collection Blu-ray, so that really tells you you're going to get some good stuff. They've obviously, it's a restoration of the movie, new interviews with a guy who actually author of a room about the film, a book about the film, sorry about that. It's called Zone, a book about a film about a journey to a room, which is a pretty ungainly title, but there you go. And there's some other interviews there, and doesn't look like it's got the documentary on it though, which is a bit disappointing because there was a full-length documentary made about the shoot. I'm not sure it's on there. That's a bit of a disappointment. Oh well. Anyway, that's my second item. That's Stalker. It's got nothing to do with noir, as you can tell. So let's move on to the third one. Now, this is another book, pretty obviously. My friends at World of Books. Check them out. They're well worth, because you can get lots of good discounts. And what is this? Oh yes, I know what this is. This is Wideeyed in Babylon. And this is the autobiography of actor Ray Milland, who of course was a Hollywood star for many years, but mostly during the 1940s. Very famously appeared in Billy Wilder's Lost Weekend, which is a terrific movie and a classic noir. I've got the novel actually to read as well before I rewatch the movie and review it. But this is his autobiography. It's got good write-ups. Well, it's not in print anymore, as you can probably tell. Again, this is a second-hand copy. I don't mind that, so long as all the pages are here and it doesn't fall apart while I'm reading it. That's fine with me. I read so many things and so many books like this that I want to be able to get as many as possible, and if that means paying for second-hand ones, I have no problem with that. This was only about less than a £5, I think, even with shipping. So yes, I'm looking forward to reading this. Again, it's an autobiography that was well reviewed at the time. It's got, it says on the back here, in the same comedy genre as David Niven's Moon's the Balloon, which was obviously a very famous autobiography about Hollywood, and yeah, it's recommended there, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. He was actually Welsh, did you know that? So just a random thing thrown in there. Let's try another one. Let's try this. This is another of those huge packets from Discover Books. No, I better cut it. That'll be easier. This looks like a bigger book, which may mean it's not a paperback. It's a bit hard to say. Get to it. Oh yes, we've done enough there. Again, you can see this is second-hand, obviously. No, this is the autobiography of noir actress Jean Tierney. Self-Portrait is the rather unimaginative title. I'm not a huge fan of Tierney's, but I was surprised when I looked back at her filmography how many of her films I've seen. She didn't make that many. She rather famously did not like being in the spotlight. She hated it. It was something that caused her quite serious emotional problems. And so she didn't do all that many. In fact, I think she quit basically towards the end of the 50s, I believe. I couldn't tell you. But I was surprised looking back at her filmography. I'd seen over 20 of her films and she only did 37, I think. And that's not with making an effort to see them. It's just I had just seen them and no special effort made. She's great in Laura, of course, which is probably her famous signature role from 1944 with Dana Andrews and Vincent Price. And she did obviously some other noirs. Fallen Angel was one for Otto Preminger, I remember. But she did many other types of movies as well. She even Oscar nominated for a movie called Leave Her to Heaven, which I wasn't a huge fan of that one, but she was quite good in it. Oh, and here we go. Here's some photos in the middle there, and obviously a couple of 100 pages. Not the most substantial autobiography I've ever come across, but yeah, looking forward to hearing the story in her own words. Obviously she's had somebody help her out there with it a little bit, but I'm looking forward to this. In fact, I saw, what did I see the other day? A movie with her in it actually, and I'm trying to remember what it was now, and I shouldn't have mentioned it because I can't recall. Oh, what was it? Oh, that's annoying. Hang on, let's have a look at the filmography and I'll tell you, because as soon as I see it I'll know. But as I say, I was surprised how many of her films I had actually seen. That was a big surprise for me. Let's see. It wasn't... I want to watch The Razor's Edge. That's the most famous thing she did that I haven't seen. Where are we? Oh, of course she was in Night in the City, wasn't she? What a classic. And Where the Sidewalk Ends. That was an amazing movie. Oh, there we go. That was the one I saw the other day, The Mating Season, which was a comedy, nothing to do with noir, fairly decent, but a little bit of its time. Anyway, that's Self-Portrait by Gene Tierney, and that's the next one I've got. So we're now 4 through, so to speak. I've got another 7 to open, so let's get on with it. And where should we go? Let's go for this one. Not sure what's... Ooh, that sounds like a Blu-ray. That sounds like discs. I didn't think I had... Oh well, let's have a look. My problem is I forget what I've ordered. It's just pretty silly, really. I do periodically go through my emails to check that everything has turned up. Let's see what we've got. Oh, it's a mixture. It's one book, one Blu-ray. What's the book? That's Claire Trevor, Queen of the Bees and Hollywood Film Noir. This is not an autobiography. This was actually written by, I think her name's Carolyn McGibbon, and I'm a big fan of Claire Trevor. She's done some great movies. She was always good in whatever she did, but never really got a huge amount of recognition apart from her Oscar for Key Largo, which she well deserved. But generally, she was one of those people whose face that the audience remembers but can't quite place the name. Which I think is a shame, because I think she was very good in everything she did, and she deserved more credit than she got. Now that's a bit of a thin book, actually. I'm a little disappointed with that, because there's, what we're talking about here, about 100 pages before we get into... I mean, some nice photos at the back there, which is always pleasant to see, but a little disappointed that's a little bit thin. It didn't cost the earth, but it wasn't mega cheap either, and that looks like a print-on-demand job to me, which I didn't realise. But I'll enjoy giving it a go. Obviously, she does crop up in a couple of movies that I'll be doing my film noir thread, Noir Confidential, Key Largo being the obvious one, but I think she's in another couple of them as well. Oh, Murder My Sweet she's in, which was a great 1944 Raymond Chandler adaptation. She's in that, so hopefully there'll be some information on those. Sadly, she never wrote an autobiography, which is a bit of a shame. So let's move on to whatever this Blu-ray is. I kind of forget what I've ordered it. Oh, it is The Lost Weekend. It's the Ray in the Land movie I talked about earlier, directed by Billy Wilder. He plays an alcoholic writer who basically tries to get through the weekend. At one point he's trying to give up the beer, at another point he's trying to hide it and trying to get it. It's a heartbreaking movie in lots of ways, and very, very accurate and very, very moving. I really like the movie. It's very different. Nobody wanted Wilder to do it. Nobody wanted Milan to be in it. The studios did not think it was box office. It doesn't really sound like it, does it? 1945 doesn't sound like a big box office, but it was a big hit, and it did win awards and things, and quite rightly so. And this is a Master of Cinemas edition, which is a very, very good label. If you ever see a Master of Cinema Eureka edition, well worth getting usually. And look at those extras. You can't see them from there, obviously, but there's quite a lot of them. You can see that. There's a radio adaptation, booklet, new remastered, of course. Well, you kind of hope that everything gets remastered when it comes out on Blu-ray, really. Not that it does, but you'd think it should. But anyway, very looking forward to seeing that. It's a classic movie, one of my favourites, and I can't believe I didn't have it in my collection already, but there you go. Right, let's move on. We're getting through this at quite a clip, not too badly. Yeah, we are moving through quite quickly, actually, which is good. I think there's 5 left. Is it 5? Yes, 5 left. These look a bit more substantial in terms of actually getting them open. Let's do the last one from Discover Books. This feels like a very substantial hardback. I haven't cut that close enough to actually get that open, but I'm sure I can just tear it. Yeah, here we go. Not sure what this is, actually. Ah, yes. I'm with it now. Come on. Let's try and get it out. Yeah, here we go. The Grey Fox of Hollywood, the Howard Hawks biography by Todd McCarthy. Well reviewed, this one, very well reviewed. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Howard Hawks was the guy who was responsible for Lauren Bacall coming to Hollywood, or his wife was, the story goes. She rated Bacall and thought that Bacall, a model at the time with no acting experience, could be very good on the silver screen, and how right she was, because her first movie was To Have and Have Not with Humphrey Bogart. Obviously, under Hawks' direction, it was a classic, one of the key Hollywood film noirs of the 1940s. So, well looking forward to reading about Hawks. I don't know much about him, actually. He made so many different types of big, successful movies. He's not really tied to any one particular genre, which I think is probably one of the reasons why he's not mentioned as a great director too often. I think people who know classic Hollywood know about him, but maybe not people generally. I think the problem is he didn't particularly have any affected style or anything. There's nothing in his movies that sort of thematically link them or anything like that, at least in my experience anyway. Maybe there is something in here which will change my mind about that, I'm not sure. But wow, look at that, what a doorstep. This is a very substantial book, no doubt about that. Wow, there's a lot here. This is how many pages? Wow, over 600? Is it going to be 7? Oh, well, you've got all the acknowledgements and filmography at the back there, but it's over 600 pages, so wow, that's huge. Very famously made some of John Wayne's biggest westerns, for example. Rio Bravo, Red River, of course. Did Scarface, one of the first gangster movies. Comedies like Bringing Up Baby and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with Marilyn Monroe. The Big Sleep, of course, being the other key noir work, which obviously is one of my favourite films ever made. So he was responsible for a great deal, and that's, again, a second-hand book. You can see it's a little bit tatty, but considering how substantial this is and what a price I got for it, I'm well pleased with this. If I got it at full price, it was a bit of a bank account buster, to be honest. So I'm quite happy with having that on second hand. And that's that one done. So we're getting towards the end now. There's only, oh no, there's 5 left. Oh, okay, let's crack on then. We better crack on and do this, which is pretty well packaged. Not sure what this is, apart from it's obviously a book again. Lots of reading here for me, no doubt about that. Oh, hang on, we've got some cardboard inside as well. This is probably, and this is an eBay purchase, I would imagine. It certainly looks that way. Let's get rid of that. There we go, quite well packaged. Quite a good job done by the seller there, I think. What is it though? Oh, there's more. There's more. Oh, yes. Now, this is a very interesting one, because this is actually a biography of a writer, but a writer who no one really knows, or no one could really prove who he was, which all sounds very strange, but his name was B. Traven. He's famous noir-wise because he wrote Treasure of the Sierra Madre, the original novel, which is a classic. I've read all his novels, and Treasure and a book called The Cotton Pickers are the 2 outstanding ones, but they're all good. So if you get a chance to read them, they're all worth reading. They're primarily set in Mexico and concern the peons, or the peasants, and their way of life. They're well worth reading, they really are. But the crucial thing is no one knew who Traven was. He was a mystery. He was a guy who lived in the middle of nowhere. He had like a secret identity, basically. The main theory I've heard about him was that he was a German anarchist, and he had to remain hidden because of some things he'd done back home, and the government in Germany were after him in the early part of the 20th century. Hopefully this book provides some interesting... Oh, that's interesting, look at that. They've put in, there's a newspaper clipping, which is not part of the book. Wow, okay. I guess the original owner of the book had this, because this is second hand again, and they've left it in there. It's a review of the book from June 19th, 1950, is that? 1980, bit more recent. Yeah, and that's from the Daily Telegraph, so that's a British newspaper clipping. That's a nice bonus. Wasn't expecting that. And here we go. This is the book by Will Wyatt. Hopefully it will throw some light on his true identity, or maybe it'll just be theories. Who knows? I don't, but I'm looking forward to reading it. There was he had an alleged agent called Hal Croves who turned up on the set when they were shooting The Treasure of the Sierra Madre with Bogart and director John Huston, and everyone thought Croves really was Traven. Just pretending to be someone else. Whether that's true or not, whether it really was him, is going to be addressed in the book, I would guess. I can't remember what Huston said about it in his book, whether he thought the guy was Traven or not. Not sure, I can't remember what Huston said, but there we go. That one's one I've been meaning to get for a long time, so I'm really chuffed to get hold of a decently preserved, it's obviously second hand, but preserved copy of that one. Really happy with that. So, let's move on to, well, how many have we got left? We've got 4 left. Get there in the end. Oh, let's see, what's this? It's another book, I suspect. You might have noticed a pattern here, obviously. Oh, and yeah, here we go. So what's this? Oh, I've really been looking forward to getting this. This is Conrad VI on Screen, a comprehensive illustrated filmography by John T. Soyster. I've really wanted this for a long time, and yes, I paid too much money for it because it's a new book. It's not second hand or anything like that. It was one of those books where there just isn't a cheap copy to get, and I waited for a long time, and in the end I just got too impatient. Thought, oh hell, I'll pay it. I'll pay the money. I love Conrad VI. I'm on a mission at the moment to watch all these movies, which if you know me, normally means a long project, which I will in the end up mostly completing, but there will be movies that either are very hard to get or are lost, particularly in Veit's case, because a lot of silent movies from Germany at the start of his career, and obviously a lot of them are lost because of the war. Maybe even the First World War, I don't know, but the Second World War certainly. A lot of movies were lost, and a lot of silent movies are lost. In fact, you'd be shocked by the percentage. Is huge. If you looked at the total percentage of lost movies, it's terribly high, and that's not just silent days. There's some sound stuff lost, and actually surprisingly recent losses. There's a movie, for example, that Gene Tierney made in the 60s. It was never finished. I think it's called Five Nights Under the Moon or something. It's lost. No one knows what ever happened to it. It's apparently just unfinished, but no one's really sure. And yeah, it was made in the 60s with some major names in it, and it's gone somewhere. I guess it's still around. But anyway, there we go. A lot of Conrad stuff is lost, unfortunately. I'm going to be doing some research to find out what is still available, what still exists. Hopefully this book will help me out with that. There isn't a biography of him as such, or an autobiography, but it will be interesting to read, because there will be some stuff about his life. Obviously, there is a biography in the front here, look. It's about 20 pages. Well, okay. He died very young, unfortunately. He dropped dead on the golf course at the age of 50 in Hollywood, before he knew the outcome of the Second World War, which is a great shame, because he fled the Nazis and spent a good deal of his time in Hollywood either playing Nazis to undermine them, or working for Allied causes. So yeah, he was a good guy, and a very, very good actor. Let's move on then, with 3 left. Got to make a bit of a reach to get these. Okay, this looks like another book. A pattern has emerged. Okay, what's this one then? Oh, this is fairly thin hardback. What have we got here? We'll get rid of all the packaging. Oh, Joseph H. Lewis, Overview, Interview and Filmography. Now, I'm a big fan of Joseph H. Lewis. You might not be familiar with him. He was a director. He made 2 Stonewall classic film noirs, Gun Crazy and The Big Combo, and others. He made other movies in that genre as well, and he did make some movies for other genres, particularly westerns. Now, considering what I paid for this, it's a bit brief. Again, like the Claire Trevor book, I'm a little disappointed with that. Yeah, that's disappointing because we are only talking about 60 odd pages of text before we got the filmography at the back. I kind of hoped for more. There is another book about Lewis out, and I was debating which to buy, but this has actually got some input from Lewis himself by the interview section here, so that kind of swung it for me. Considering how much this was, I don't think it's great value for money. I'll have to say that. But there you go, that sort of thing does happen from time to time. But if it's a great 70 pages, it'll be worth it. And there is a filmography there, and so I'll find out some more about his movies. Again, I'm trying to watch them all this time. Some of them are a bit obscure and hard to find, being B movies. He never got out of the B movie arena, really. In fact, he finished his career directing television, and I thought for some reason he did episodes of Lassie, and I don't know why I thought that, because when I looked it up, he did. I think I was wrong, but he did a lot of TV shows, like Rifleman, for example. He did loads of episodes of that, and Gunsmoke and things like that. And he made a lot of westerns, but he was always looking to do different things visually all the time, even when he was making incredibly cheap films. He did a movie with Bela Lugosi in 1941 called Invisible Ghost, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever story-wise, but it's very stylish, especially considering it was a very, very cheap monogram studio film. And it's got its own look about it, definitely. And I think Lewis was one of those guys who was always trying to push the envelope visually and do something different and make each shot count, which was something people did not do in the B-movie arena in Hollywood in the 1940s and 50s. They just churned them out. And apparently it did cause some friction on set with his other behind-the-camera colleagues, because he wanted to do more. And they would be used to just knocking things out very, very quickly. But he really did want to do more and more, and get something about every shot and every film that made it interesting. So he wasn't particularly popular with his colleagues, I don't think. He was a hard taskmaster, I guess. But I'm looking forward to reading it. As I said, a little disappointed about how brief it looks, but, well, we'll see. Let's clear up some of this mess. And we've got 2 packages left. So this feels like, I think this might actually be a Blu-ray. I think it is. It's a Blu-ray. Oh, okay. I didn't think there were any more Blu-rays to come this week, but yes, we have got one. What is it? It's The Strange Love of Martha Ives. I'd forgotten I'd ordered this completely. Oh, this is ages. This has took a long while to come, actually. I'm a bit of an idiot, really, because I order stuff and then kind of forget that I have. I've got the emails. I've got an audit trail of basically, so I can track it down. But I tend to forget things. And this was a while back, because it was a good priced copy. I think that's what it was. It was an eBay purchase, and it was a good price copy. And I think this is the American Blu-ray, because I don't think this is out on Blu-ray in this country, unfortunately. If you're not familiar with it, it's a noir with Barbara Stanwyck, Kirk Douglas, and Douglas is in a bit of a supporting role here. I think it was his first movie. Certainly his first significant movie, put it that way. Looking at the extras here, we've just got a commentary, really, and digital restoration. There's nothing else. It's an interesting, different movie. I don't remember a huge amount about it, just that it was very, very good and very different. Very grown up, in the sense that there's no real Hollywood moonshine about the plot or the characters. I think they're complicated, if I recall correctly. It's not a very black and white movie in that sense, although it is in black and white. They've tried to convince you it's not with the cover, but it is black and white. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one again. It's been a long time, I'm pleased with that purchase. As I say, it's a very decent price as well, which is important to me, as you might have gathered. So that just leaves one left after all this. This is the last one we have. I've got through them pretty quickly, I think, which is good for me. Not too much waffling. So what's this? The last book coming out is... Evelyn Keys, author of the best-selling Scarlett O'Hara's younger sister, because that's who she played in Gone with the Wind. I'll think about that tomorrow, it's called. Keys did was a classic Hollywood actress from bygone days, and again, not very remembered these days, I'm afraid to say, which is a bit of a shame. But she, as well as doing Gone with the Wind, which, as I say, was her really famous role, she did lots of other different big hits. Here Comes Mr. Jordan, 7 Year Itch she was in with Marilyn Monroe, and she did Before I Hang with Boris Karloff, which was one of his Columbia Mad Scientist movies. Well, and she did that after Gone with the Wind, which is kind of a bit of a come down in terms of budget and recognition, I would imagine. Yeah, the reason I wanted to read about her was she had a very important role in one of my favourite unheralded film noirs, which is Johnny O'Clock with Dick Powell, which you may not have heard of. It's not out on Blu-ray. I can't get it. I'm not sure if there might be a American DVD somewhere. I'm struggling to remember. I think it's out on DVD as an old, like a few years old, so it might be a bit difficult to get hold of a copy. But I'm going to do it in Noir Confidential in some way. It's probably on a streaming service somewhere. It's not a very well known movie, but I thought it was great, and she's in that. She's the heroine in that, or is she the femme fatale? I don't really remember, but there you go. And the other thing she was famous for, she was married to bandleader Artie Shaw, and apparently that was a complete car crash of a marriage. So I suppose she'll be talking about that a fair bit. It's a nice, substantial book. Yeah, that's what we want. Something that you can get your teeth into. As I say, a couple of them have disappointed me a bit by looking as if they are a bit brief. Certainly briefer than I expected them to be. Which means there'll be a quick read, but I prefer something I can get my teeth into. And that looks very substantial indeed. And I don't think there's a filmography at the back, which is, very poor. I don't know how much effort it would have been to just list her movies, but there you go. Okay, so that's it. Wow, that's an incredibly huge haul, and a lot of watching and a lot of reading. Wow. So, in no particular order, to sum up this week's haul, what did we get? Well, we got The Man Who Was Betraven by Will Wyatt. We got Howard Hawks, The Grey Fox of Hollywood, rather, it's called. Strange Love of Martha Ives on Blu-ray. We've got another Blu-ray with The Lost Weekend with Ray Milland, Billy Wilder film, that's brilliant. We've got this biography of B-movie actress, I guess. Well, I always think of her as an A-movie actress. Claire Trevor, Queen of the Bees in Hollywood Film Noir by Carolyn McGibbon. We've got Joseph H. Lewis, Overview, Interview and Filmography. Self-Portrait, the autobiography of Gene Tierney. Ray Milland's autobiography, Wideeyed in Babylon. We've got Andrei Tarkovsky's Russian sci-fi classic Stalker, which is a bit out of place, but there you go. Alan Ladd, A Hollywood Tragedy. Evelyn Keys' autobiography, I'll Think About That Tomorrow. And finally, and perhaps the one I was looking forward to getting most, the Conrad VI on Screen book. So that is the haul for this week. That's pretty impressive stuff, isn't it? So if you like the video, please remember to give me a thumbs up and maybe even share and subscribe if you want to hear more about film noir. I'm going to be launching my Film Noir Confidential series very, very shortly, so look out for that. And thank you for joining me today.